Hey guys, it's Spacey Sins, and we are back with more Paradigm Paradox, continuing Yukonami's route. And yesterday, I was thinking after we ended, I was like, we gotta be getting close to the good ending. You know what I mean? And technically, most of them have been running about 6 hours. Yukonami's, I can understand being a little bit longer. This is our 6th part for him. Be a little bit longer because we got to do some of the bad boy common stuff. Like, you get the common route, and then there's the good boy common area, and then the bad boy common area, and then you split off into the routes. So, yeah, we had some slightly different things that kind of set us off into the, now you're on the villain path, sort of. Not that they're really villains, but you know what I mean. But then when I was loading today, and I realized, I'm like, oh, the save, it says happy ending, so we're getting our ending today, probably. So, anyway, we walked for a while, then came to a stop at a spot within sight of Theta. We walked here this time. It actually felt a lot easier. Huh. I saw shapes in the direction of Theta. Our girls. Are those... so they came. The blooms were dead ahead. What are you doing here? Everyone regarded me with shocked expressions. They apparently hadn't counted on me showing up. I guess Moravia was right when she said we wouldn't even have to sneak in. But how did she call them all the way out here? Rio probably told them. I still had questions, but this was my chance. Everyone's finally here and in front of me, so I need to make sure I explain everything. Hopefully they'll listen. They're all in fighting stance. It kind of hurts, because you're like, aww. I mean, I like Ibuki so far. I mean, we don't really know much about him or whatever, but he's really pretty. But I still kind of like our girls over here more than, like, the villain side. Even though on the quote-unquote bad boy side, it's like, well, but, like, Lizzie's alive, and that's kind of hard to, like, that's hard to go between where it's like, well, she's dead when you're in the good boy route, but, like, I like our good boys better. You know what I mean? Like, Yukonami's not for me. Hugo might be okay, but, like, right off the bat, just in general, like, eh. And I'm not sure about Rio, because, like, he's, like, an adult, and we're a teenage girl, and that seems a little... Listen. I am a huge proponent of learning how to separate fiction from reality, like, just because we're playing a game right now, like, I'm playing a teenage girl, and we're dating teenage boys. Teenagers in real life look like infants to me. Most people in their 20s look like infants to me, okay? So, like, but people don't seem to grasp that you can play games like this and be, like, it's kind of like, oh, hey, when I turn 18, I have to stop liking a character I like because they're 17, and it's like, you don't realize that they're not real, right? They're not real. Like, me personally, I don't like the baby-faced love interest because I'm like, they're too young for me. But, like, if somebody is, like, in their 20s or 30s and likes the baby-faced love interest, I'm like, oh my god, you're a creepy pervert. Because it's like, they're drawings. They're not real people. If you like real people that look like they're then there's a problem. But, like, you liking a piece of art and you liking those are two separate fucking things. But yet, at the same time, for me personally, the huge age gap thing like that is like, nope, no, something wrong with that. And I can't I can't separate the fiction from the reality. Sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it just kind of flows over. I'm like, no, that's great. Well, okay, it's fiction, so it shouldn't be. But it still bothers me, because in reality it would bother me. Like, I think he's like 28, to be fair, because I think when you watch the credit scenes, they show something and I see age 28, and I'm like, it's the only one they say it for is him. And I'm like, so he's like 28 and we're like 16? That's kind of fucked up. I mean, it's a 12-year age difference. And, like, when you're 30 and 42, or, hell, if you were 40 and 60, whatever, because the older you get, the less age matters. But when you're 16 and 20, that man's pushing 30 and he's dating a high school. That's kind of creepy and gross. But at the same time, it's fiction, and nobody's hurting anybody because they're pixels. You know what I mean? And me, I'll probably enjoy the route and then be like, oh, there's some, like, It's like the whole thing with Yukonami and like being like you're talking about how he's like a child, he's very childlike and you're in love with him and that's the reality seeping in where I'm like sometimes I can separate it. Most of the time I can. That certain things I'm like no. So like that's like a me problem. I got to learn to separate. Like okay, just cuz she's like he's kind of childlike doesn't mean that like there's anything wrong with that. Personally not my thing, but you know, personally, the babyface love interests aren't my thing, but doesn't mean their routes aren't good, you know? So, but like overall, I like our Bloom Boys better than, you know, this. But I do like that they have the two separate sides. Like, I like that for the gameplay aspect, but if I had to choose a side, I'm not sure this is the side I'd be on. Although I'm not saying that they're evil and wrong. No, I mean, like, I get why they're doing this. And I like the fact that the game's like, you could totally, absolutely understand both sides, you know? And it makes it difficult for you to be like, I would absolutely be on this side because this side is right and the other side's wrong. Neither one of them's really right or wrong, you know what I mean? They're both right and both wrong at the same time. Character-wise, though, I just like our Bloom's boys. I don't know. To be fair, I've really only gotten to know Yukonami. And he's just not for me, so. And Kamui was the first one we met on the Bloom side, and it's like, he's not normally the character I like, but he's kind of charming and adorable. And you're like, okay, he's kind of cute, sweet. You know? Anyway. I walked toward the Blooms. Everyone, I'm sorry about earlier. But just as I was about to offer an apologetic bow. Wow. I can't read. My brain could not see letters for a hot second there. Just as I was about to offer an apologetic bow, a sudden sense of danger blazed through me. The fact that they're all in, like, ass-kicking stance. Huh? Watch out, Spacey! The next thing I knew, Yukonami pulled me to the ground and shielded me with his body. Moravia attacked us! What? That's when I realized Yukonami had protected me. Wait, I thought the Blooms were going to attack us. Flustered, I looked over to where I was standing just moments before. The ground was now a smoking crater. Interesting, I didn't see this coming. If Yukonami hadn't protected me, I would have been killed. I gazed at Moravia in amazement. Her eyes were ice cold. She was a completely different person. Okay. We were like, Yukonami shouldn't hurt people, and he's like, yeah, okay. And she didn't like that, I guess. Oh, shit. Oh, okay. You know, you just added some weird depth to your character that I'm into. This is going to be fun. Okay. I kind of, not going to lie, kind of figured it was going to, like, with Yukonami, like, we were like, you shouldn't hurt people. And he was like, okay. I mean, obviously character development was in there, but, okay, like, basically. And then I kind of figured, and, like, Hugo's like, yeah, okay, I don't know about that. Like, he wasn't convinced yet, and Moravia seemed totally okay with it, because, like, whatever. And you're like, I don't know if they'd be convinced that easily, but again, quick to the point kind of game, don't have tons and tons of character development, right? But I was kind of like, okay, I mean, it's weird that we come in and we're like, guys, everything should be sunshine and rainbows, and they're like, okay, and you're like, because this is not a Disney after-school special here, right? So you're like, yeah, but whatever. Realistic to, like, an actual plot, fine, no big deal. This actually makes it better, because it's like, this makes more sense. Okay, I mean, I would not have been mad about it either way, because again, don't think that there's... It lends itself to saying, like, there's not a lot of depth going on because it's kind of quick, but there still is. They just kind of, like, jump fast to the deep pool, like, you know, and you don't have time to wade into it. Where most games take their time to wait and kind of like do. This is like, here's some shit, and then you're like, okay, all right. You worked with Yukonami, now he's better. Okay, character development very quickly, but sure, you know what I mean? But like, you know, it doesn't bother me because at least you kind of get the impression that the necessary steps were done, even if it's a little fast. I feel like we've had plenty of scenarios in other games or media where this has happened, where you're like, character development and everything kind of happened fast, but like, you're still enjoying it, so who cares, you know? I do like this better, though. think it does make a little more sense, Moravia not being on. Ooh, it's kind of more interesting and gives Ibuki a little more depth. That's going to be more interesting going down his route. You know? Going to be a little harder to sway you. Cool. Why? Is she serious? Yeah. The fierce look in her eyes was so dangerous it made me shudder. What are you doing? Moravia ignored me and took aim again. She released another volley of shots right at me, unless... Moravia's like, oh, I'm going to attack them, and then the blooms will take them in, and then... whatever, and that's better for them, and I'm playing the part of a bad guy, so that the quote-unquote good guys will accept them and forgive them, so they don't have to live in this colony and they can live normal lives. Like, aww, and that's kind of sweet. Who knows? I don't think we're going to find out her motivations until we get to Ibuki's route, but... Stop it! Deaf to our cries, Moravia kept attacking. Yukonami and I had been caught completely off guard. Took all we had to keep dodging. Damn it, what's wrong with you, Moravia? I can understand why she might attack me, but why is she attacking Yukonami? What's wrong with her? The blooms came running over as the shots battered us. See if they're gonna, like, you know what I mean? It could be either way. Like, she could just be like, no, fuck you coming and fucking up my shit and ruining everything for everybody. Totally, like, hates people, whatever. Or could have actually been extremely 100% sincere. I think she was sincere enough in the, like, hey, if you're trying to help Yukonami, then I'll help you, because, you know, feels like an affinity, like a little brother kind of relationship to Yukonami, because they grew up in the same lab and whatever. Like, and I definitely feel like they kind of, as a group, see each other as, like, found family, you know. I could believe that. So, I could see where... they could lead into and be like, she's just attacking you and being an asshole like this, so the blooms will defend you, realize that you guys aren't bad, and, like, she's gonna be make you the lesser of two evils. So instead of all three of you showing up and the blooms being like, fuck all of you, she attacks you and they're like, she is psycho, and you're like, yeah, okay, let me explain what happened, and then they're like, we'll forgive you, because we saw what Moravia did, so obviously she's crazy and you guys are okay. You know what I mean? And, like, she's doing it to help us. She's being the bad guy to help. That's kind of sweet and adorable, and I love it. Because I don't know why she would attack Yukonami, you know? Me, yeah. But that makes me think that maybe that's where it's going. Are you alright? Did she backstab you? Kaori looked back and forth between Yukonami, who was protecting me, and Moravia, who continued to launch attack after attack. So, is she our only enemy right now? What? Well, based on how things look, it's an easy conclusion to draw. I knew something seemed off with you and Yukonami the other day. That's when I started to catch on to what Moravia was actually up to. Yes, this is all an act. If she pretended to be everyone's enemy, including Yukonami's, the blooms would be more likely to accept us. See? We caught on! I like that. I mean, I figured they were going to tell us that if this is what she was doing, that's what she was doing. But I didn't think we'd catch on so fast. You know, the MC does, like, have baby face where she looks like between 8 and 12 half the time. But she's a smart cookie. She's a little dense about some things, like, wait, this boy likes me? Duh, girl. But then she's like, but other times she's like, on the ball with other shit. You know? So, like, good for her. Because I would also be derpy if boys liked me too, you know what I mean? That made sense. It also meant that I had to do my part and play along, so I leaned in to speak to Yukonami quietly. You trust Moravia, right, Yukonami? Of course I do. Yukonami didn't hesitate for a second. Then we have to go along with this thing she's doing, alright? That means we have to fight Moravia. Yukonami looked shocked for a moment, but he nodded. It seemed he'd figured it out as well, which is kind of shocking, but also he knows her, so... not shocking at the same time. Got it! I turned to face the blooms. Everyone, please lend me your strength. Yukonami and I can't do this alone. Please, everyone, lend me your strength. Yukonami and I cannot do this alone. This is my bad acting. They're like, why do you sound like you're faking this? Nothing. I am so upset that Moravia would attack me. Boo-hoo. Sobs uncontrollably. Even if they still doubted me. It was clear that Moravia was a much more immediate threat. That much was undeniable.
All right, I don't know what's going on with you, but it's clear we need to work together if we want to take Moravia down.
Or take down Moravia, whatever.
I'm still sore about you attacking us the other day, but I'm fine lending a hand in this instance.
I'll explain everything behind that later. I'm really sorry. It's water under the bridge. Let's do this. Moravia's not to be underestimated. Stay sharp. You can all rush me at the same time if you want. It'll make absolutely no difference. Moravia didn't hold back her attacks. For a moment, I worried that I misunderstood her plan after all.
Everyone scatter! On my mark, go for a coordinated attack!
We dispersed as Kaori commanded, putting some distance between us and Moravia. Moravia paused, unsure where to aim her attacks.
Now!
We attacked Moravia as one, and she staggered. We took that chance to hit her even harder. I laid into her alongside Yukonami and the Blooms, all 6 of us with our unique skills. I kind of feel bad for her because it's like she's doing this to help us, and she's going to get her ass handed to her, but, you know, she knew what she was doing, so. She knew what she was getting herself into. Despite her boasts, even Moravia couldn't hold up for long against 6 fighters. Nope, not a fan of this at all. Moravia turned and immediately fled the scene. Hey, return here at once! You return here at once! Everyone started to chase after Moravia, but I called them back. Everyone wait! They all stopped, then turned to look at me. Please just listen for a minute. I'll explain everything. Hopefully that'll clear up the doubts you all have. As if. We gotta go after her. Even if we gave chase now, we'd have no chance. Moravia had completely faded out of sight. Moravia is amazing as always. The Blooms walked back over to me as I gazed after Moravia, deeply impressed.
Moravia's long gone. You're going to explain everything now, correct?
Yeah, but first let me apologize. I shouldn't have left without saying anything to you all. And as for what happened earlier, I bowed in Haruka's direction. I'm sorry, Haruka. I guess I shocked you, huh?
I was surprised, to say the least. But you seemed pretty remorseful, so no hard feelings.
Wow. You're being surprisingly nice.
What do you mean by surprisingly?
Now, you two. There's no need for that. I breathed a sigh of relief. It appeared I'd earned Haruka's forgiveness.
More importantly, let's hear your story. Then we'll see what happens next.
I'll start from the beginning. First off, the reason I had to leave Theta in such a hurry was because... Yeah, but then we left Lizzie back there, so it's like... I explained how I teamed up with Yukonami and the others in order to save Lizzie. Then I told them everything I'd learned and experienced in the Vector colony of Tau. I told them about Yukonami and his recent growth. Finally, I told them about the Vectors and how they were all once humans before they turned. Half of the Blooms didn't seem very shocked, while Sana and Mocha were taken aback. Kaori and Haruka hardly blinked. Do those two already know? I left out the part about Rio helping us, since adding another player would complicate things. I still wasn't sure who Rio was working for or why. I didn't want to say some half-truth that would just add confusion to the whole situation. When I finished, the Blooms all remained silent, clearly sorting out their own thoughts. That's extremely mature, too. Being like, Rio is helping us, but I don't really know if he's on their side or our side or what the thing is, so I'm not going to bring him into it, because I don't really know, and I don't want to be like, Rio is helping us, so he's a bad guy, because he might not be, and, maybe he was just helping Lizzie, and, you don't really know his motivations and stuff, so, you're like, I'm going to leave him out of it instead of spreading rumors and making up, and, I mean, it's true he was there, but, that could lead to, gossip and rumors and misunderstandings, and you're like, no, I'm not going to do that, you know what I mean? Then Kaori looked at Yukonami.
Yukonami, you were bored in the lab, right?
Yep. Yukonami's short reply seemed to satisfy Kaori. At the very least, she didn't dig into the issue any further. I feel like Yukonami is one of us. He also has superpowers, but the difference is the Blooms went on to protect humans, while Yukonami joined the Vectors and attacked them. Maybe our roles would be reversed if our upbringing had been similar to his, or vice versa.
I understand what you're getting at here. If our paths had been a little different, yeah, I understand that all too well.
Yeah. Kaori and Haruka seemed to know what was going on better than any of us. Or so I thought after observing their exchange. And we would probably have a little more insight into this if you had done their routes before moving on to doing the vector side routes. But, I like that it leaving it a little bit more of a mystery. But I better not ask them for specifics right now. Maybe later when things calm down a bit. Kaori spoke up again while I was thinking.
So you want to set Yukonami on the right path?
Well, kind of. More like I want you to know that Yukonami has agreed to not attack humans anymore. Even if Yukonami doesn't, what about the others? They'll carry on, won't they?
Indeed. Look at Moravia. She just tried to attack us.
Yukonami broke his silence to add his 2 cents.
And I think that might have been an act.
What? An act?
Whatever do you mean? Whatever do you mean?
I think she attacked on purpose to give our sides reason to come together and talk to each other.
So she played the bad guy so we could bond while fighting her off.
My, she certainly didn't seem like she was holding back. That wasn't half as hard as Moravia can hit for real, right, Yukonami?
Yeah, those were baby attacks. But she did take me by surprise since she couldn't really tell us her plan beforehand.
Moravia's attacks had been fierce, but Yukonami was right. That wasn't her full power. If it had been, none of us would be left standing.
So everything she did was an act?
Yukonami and I nodded. The others seemed to recoil slightly.
Yikes.
Yeah, you're probably not going to believe this, but she's very considerate of her friends. She's very well liked amongst the Vectors.
Oh yeah, Moravia's number 1 for sure.
The Blooms all exchanged glances, then they shrugged and nodded.
Well, if you can still say that after she attacked you, then who am I to judge?
I love Kaori's stupid fucking faces. I'm like a main character with like giant saucer eyes. I'm like, okay. But like, I don't know what it is about Kaori. She's so goofy. But it's like adorable. I love it. Like her giant fucking eye. I love it. I love this face. She's like a Muppet.
Yukonami aside, though, do you think the others will stop attacking humans too?
Well, that depends on me and Yukonami. They said they'd decide after seeing how we manage things going forward. Moravia and Hyuga will probably stop if they see Yukonami and I getting along with humans.
Hyuga? So there's someone else besides Moravia? And they're willing to cease their attacks too? I'll take care of Hyuga.
There was no trace of Yukonami's childlike nature when he spoke. His jaw was set and his face serious. He looked every bit an adult. Based on what I'd seen of Hyuga and Yukonami, I could tell they shared a deep friendship. Hyuga cares a lot for Yukonami and seems to respect what he thinks. Should be okay to let those two sort things out themselves. Yukonami, you'll handle Hyuga then?
Leave it to me. I'm the one who saved him. So if I tell him not to do something, he'll listen to what I say.
Which is like really funny because it's like the labradoodle telling a human what to do. Well, fair enough. We do what our pets tell us to do, don't we?
Though if Moravia stops, I think Hyuga will probably follow soon anyway. None of that is certain though, is it? I'm simply not sure we can trust you.
Yeah, but to be fair, there's a lot we don't know about the Vectors. I feel like what they've told us makes sense so far. Maybe we can try trusting them for a bit.
Well, I still feel conflicted, to be honest. Maybe they're just hiding the truth and manipulating us.
The girls seem very distrustful. Not surprising, considering they'd likely also been used. But even so, they didn't seem dispirited. Instead...
The commander knows all about this, huh? Let's question him and see what he says.
Oh, I've got some words for him, believe me. Yukonami recoiled slightly at the Bloom's blossoming rage. Funny.
Wow, the Blooms are more bloodthirsty than I ever imagined.
They're not always like this, I promise. Only when it comes to the commander.
We need to talk things out before we give the commander what for.
The other Blooms took Kaori's advice and calmed down. Now their resolve was fortified with a common goal. I think it's so funny because Kaori seems to be kind of like the leader of the Blooms, kind of takes charge, and Tokyo seems to be like, yeah, okay, whatever. Fine. Hold the sandwich for me while I eat. It's very Cyan and Verche, isn't it? Like, yeah, you'll be my sandwich dispenser. But like in this case, it's Ayamu who brings him sandwiches. But you know what I mean? Like, the little we've seen of him, just in the little side things, it's more like, yeah, anyway, research, don't care, no time for anything, totally, like, oblivious to everything but research, and then you pop him into his girl form, and he's like, all right, bitches, kicking ass, and taking charge, and, like, you're like, it's just funny, because it's not the vibe you get from him. Oh, I love it. Thank you, everyone. I'll make sure to get through to Moravia. And, like, Kamui and Sena seem very similar, except for Sena speaks properly and says things like, I am going to do this. Yes, I am. Like, just has a different way of speech, but still has Kamui's kind of personality a little bit. Maybe a little toned down. But, like, and Mocha still has the fucking... Mocha has more sass than Mihaya. Mihaya's like... like, whatever, I'm over here, I'm a little grumpy, but he keeps quiet, and then when he's Mocha, it's like, I'll kick the commander's ass! You know what I mean? Like, more sass comes out. You know? It wasn't going to be easy, but I also knew that it wasn't an impossible task. I was afraid of Yukonami at first, and look how close we are now. With that, we decided to part for the day. Yukonami and I headed back to Tao. We arrived after a long walk and found Moravia already there. Welcome back, you two. How did it go? We're home. It went well, thanks to your help. I was able to talk things over with the Blooms. I could see the good for you in Moravia's smile. Still, there was something I couldn't help but raise a small protest about from earlier. I don't know why I, read that weird. By the way, Moravia, did kind of freak me out when you attacked us out of the blue. Yeah, same. I thought you were serious at first. Oh, good. That explains why you did such a great job with your acting. I guess so. But if you have to pull a trick like that again, maybe give us a heads up first. Moravia threw back her head and let out a hearty laugh. You just let your guard down if I did that, and then the Blooms would see right through the act. And if the Blooms had caught on, it would have blown any chance of them trusting you. I guess you're right. I wasn't a very good actor. I couldn't even tell convincing lies. If I'd known about the plan, I'm sure I would have stumbled. I knew that Yukonami would take care of you, so I let myself go a little wild. It all worked out in the end, right? Yukonami puffed out his chest in response. Of course! I'll always protect Spacey. Your instincts are sharp as ever, Moravia. Oh, you flatter me. I still feel like I've been manipulated. Still, Moravia's quick thinking gave me a chance to explain myself to the Blooms. All's well that ends well, I guess. A few days after our meeting outside Theta, someone wanted to see me. Who is it, Yukonami? You'll find out when you find out. Despite my badgering, Yukonami wouldn't spill the beans. Everything was under wraps. Who'd recruited Yukonami as a messenger, though? I can't think of many people. Maybe it was Moravia, the professor? But if that's the case, then what's with all the secrecy? Oh, look! The flower was only budding yesterday, but now it's in full bloom. I looked over, and sure enough, the flower was flourishing. It's blooming nicely. Will this flower make seeds, too? Can we make the flower bed after all? Yeah, we'll make one together. Yay! I can't wait. We chatted as we walked along, but I was still very curious about who wanted to see me. Doesn't seem like we're leaving Tao. Whoever it is, I guess they live here. I wasn't particularly worried either way. Yukonami and I walked at a leisurely pace. Don't tell the professor. I hope he doesn't tell us who he is if it's the professor. Here we are. Here? Yukonami brought me to the house of the professor, the former researcher. Are you sure this is the right place? I mean... This is where the researcher lives, right? I know all about that. He wants to see you. So it was someone who lived in Tao after all. But I never expected it would be the professor. The professor asked Yukonami to fetch me? But given his past, Yukonami must surely hate him. Yukonami caught sight of the confusion on my face and decided to clear things up.
Just so you know, he never did anything bad to me, so he gets a pass. Barely. I hate all researchers, but bringing you here is for your own benefit, so I agreed to do it.
Yukonami's expression was serious, but his voice was tender. My heart filled with warmth. Yukonami pushed past his own discomfort because he was thinking of my well-being. It was a little surprising, but Yukonami's gesture touched me. All right, thanks for bringing me then.
No problem. In we go. Hey, I brought her.
Hello, both of you. Why does that sound so sinister? It's like, really, I'm really hard with the professor's voice. Like, I don't know. Hello, sorry to barge in like this. The professor offered us seats before bringing out some hot tea. I heard that you wanted to speak with me today, Professor? I mean, because it's like, otherwise we'd have to switch and give him, like, another voice that's, like, similar to other ones we have before, but a little calmer, maybe. Like, not quite as accenty, you know? But, like, I don't have enough voices for all the characters here, anyway. Yes, there's something I wanted to show you. And take a look at this. The professor showed me a tablet screen. Displayed on its glowing surface was an email. What's this email? Huh? Now I could see the email was addressed to me. The sender was Misaki Kuramori, the commander. Okay, for a hot second I was like... But also, he's monitoring our emails? He somehow could get my email... Unless Misaki probably can send emails to Tao. He knows about it. But also, because then I was wondering, like, when he showed the email, I was like, you're not going to tell me that you're Uncle Yashima right now, are you? Because I feel like that should be revealed later, not now. It's too early for that. What? I can't explain the details right now, but Misaki worked under me when I was at the research lab. We still keep in contact over email, even now. The professor explained that the commander was once an important researcher, but the professor quit after a certain event occurred, and the commander followed suit. The freeing of my parents? I'm gonna guarantee you. So maybe they both had something to do with it. Okay. Wow, I had no idea. So the commander has a colorful past too. If he wasn't the professor's subordinate back then, just who is the professor exactly? Oh, if he was. There was clearly more to the story, but I had the feeling I'd find out in due time. Yes, several routes from now. But for the moment, I focused on scanning the email. Let's see, it's been a while. I heard from Kaori and the others. After a succinct introduction, the email went on to say a whole lot of things. About the professor once being his superior, how the professor told them about me and how vectors were once human beings, and about how awful he felt bottling up the truth. It's hard to trust the commander after he kept the truth about Lizzie hidden from me. Again, I can't be mad at him because you know he had to. I mean, yes, in her situation, I would absolutely, you'd be like, I'm so fucking mad about it. Like, I understand, but that doesn't mean I'm not mad about it, even though you logically know he couldn't tell you. That said, as commander, his hands may have been tied, see? No doubt he had to answer to the higher-ups before talking to me. The thought made me feel a bit less hostile toward the commander. See, she's like, her brain cells are like banging around in there, which is good.
You done reading yet?
Yukonami suddenly spoke up. He was clearly getting bored and impatient. Sorry, almost. I continued reading.
I know I had to hold so much back from you, but I was still surprised to hear you'd gone to the Vector side of your own volition. Still, I knew and anticipated that you had the ability to bring about a significant change. But asking a child to do what I can't, some adult I am. So at the very least, let me give you a helping hand whenever or wherever you need it. If you manage to make a life with Yukonami, it may lead to a future where humans and Vectors no longer need to fight one another. I want to give you something that'll help take the first step toward making that hope a reality.
Initially, I thought the email ended there, but it actually went on a bit longer.
P.S. You're still an official member of the Blooms. Please never forget that you have true friends among us.
Heh. Guess I haven't been fired. True friends, huh? I kind of like that, because you feel like, oh my god, we swapped sides, but it's like, no, we still have them. It's just like, no, I like it. It's wholesome and adorable. I felt a bit bolder, but also a little embarrassed. Overall, I felt pretty happy. Me too! But what's this thing he wants to give me?
There's another email, and take a look at it.
The professor showed me another email that was far more official looking than the first. Dates, times, and locations? Oh, and a map, too. Professor, what's this?
You know the goods are transported between colonies, albeit on a rather infrequent basis.
Yeah, I remember learning that at the Academy. The colonies all trade back and forth for materials and resources, right?
The information you're looking at is the date, time, and route for the next supply convoy.
The professor explained that these convoys were often attacked en route by vectors. They did use weapons for protection, but as the vector population kept increasing, it was getting hard to keep them at bay. Are there really that many vectors living in the wild in addition to the ones here?
Yeah, some have kind of gotten lost out there.
Yukonami spoke up, breaking his silence spell.
Moravia can't keep every single one under control, you know. Sometimes they wander off and go rogue in the wilderness.
And those are the vectors attacking the convoys.
Exactly. That's why Misaki wants to ask you two to protect the supply convoys.
Protect them, huh? So that's what the commander wanted to give me. A job! If Yukonami and I work together to protect the convoys as a human and a vector, it'll prove the two species can work together. But will protecting the convoys from vectors involve killing them? The professor noticed the concern on my face.
There's no need to kill the vectors. It'll be enough for you to guide them back to the colony. Piece of cake! If we can get the vectors back here, Moravia can handle them. After all, she managed to train me.
I see. So we just need to redirect them. It would be an ideal way to prove that humans and vectors don't need to fight. Plus, it'd be a great way to keep Yukonami busy. I wonder if I should do it. I think this option would lead to a better result than anything we've tried so far. Yukonami, do you want to give it a go? As I turned to get Yukonami's opinion, a grin lit up his face like the sun on a cloudy day.
I'll do it if you do.
Okay. With that, Yukonami and I accepted the job from the commander. We'd head out at the indicated time to the place designated in the email. I mean, it's a happy end, but like... Okay, scroll up. There's no more choices, so... But it's one of those, like... Okay, it's like 40 minutes in and we're still getting our end, so... A few days passed since we got our task from the commander. It was finally time to get to work. Is the place very far from here? Yeah, that's why we're heading out so early. It'd be pretty bad if we missed our rendezvous with the convoy. I'm sad that we'll be apart for a while, but I know you'll do great. I'll be praying for your safety. Thanks, Lizzie. Oh, that's me. Thanks, Lizzie. Well, Yukonami, shall we be off? I just figured he popped in, so I was assuming it was him for some reason.
Before we go, you have to transform, right?
Oh, right. Thanks for remembering.
I remember everything there's to remember about you.
I've changed, but Yukonami has changed more. At first, Yukonami viewed my necessary transformation as a sign of human weakness. But now he seemed to respect and understand the process. It made me happy to know Yukonami was looking out for me. We left the colony. Not long after, I suddenly sensed someone behind us. I turned to see Moravia and Hyuga coming our way.
Heading out?
Yeah, thank you for all you've done for me, and for helping me out the other day.
I just wanted to give you two a head start on a good future.
Moravia smiled brightly, but Hyuga looked as sullen as ever.
I still think you two are wasting time and energy on the silly initiative of yours.
Still, Hyuga made no attempt to stop us. I sensed that it was because he truly wanted us to succeed, not because he'd been forbidden from interfering. He expected big things from us, too.
Hyuga, don't forget what I told you. No attacking humans. You got that? Shh, for crying out loud. What's that? I can't hear you. I said all right. There, loud enough? Damn it. Just as long as we're on the same page. What are you damning, though?
These two sure make an odd couple. Moravia, you'll hold off on attacking humans too, right?
I'll mind my own business and cross that bridge if the situation requires it.
So in other words, you're not sure yet?
Of course I'm not sure yet. You two still need to prove yourselves, right?
And we will. Just watch us. I shot Moravia a determined look, which she returned without blinking even once. Well then, we're off. Please take care of Lizzie. We'll be back soon enough, and I figure we'll have some stray vectors in tow.
We'll be waiting. Do your best, you two.
Moravia and Hyuga stood watch as we put the colony of Tau behind us. A few hours after leaving the colony, Yukonami and I found a spot to take cover and wait.
The convoy should be passing by soon, right?
Yeah, according to the commander's email, this is usually where the vectors converge. The convoy should pass us at any minute. I don't see any vectors, though. I wonder if there aren't any here after all.
Oh, they're hanging around for sure. I can feel their presence.
Yukinami, you can sense them?
Sure, it's easy if you go by their scent and tracks.
I sniffed the air for myself as I scanned the ground for footprints. I can't see or smell a thing. You're really something else, Yukinami.
Compliments are the best.
Yukinami turned his delighted grin to me.
But I think you're way more amazing than me.
Why do you say that?
I mean, I've learned so much from you. About kindness and how it feels to love someone. And you show me that vectors and humans don't have to be enemies. No one's ever pulled that off. You're incredible.
Do you really think so? Yukinami's shower of praise made me blush. It's adorable. How it feels to love someone, huh? Hearing him use that word again makes my heart beat really fast. Oops, I let my mind wander. I need to focus on the task at hand. We waited for a bit longer before Yukinami spotted something on the horizon.
They're coming!
I barraged Yukinami with questions as they turned to look in the same direction. Do you see the convoy or the vectors?
Both. Looks like the vectors sensed the convoy and are headed over.
I strained my eyes. I could make out the outline of the convoy and silhouettes of several vectors closing in. All right, this is our cue.
Roger!
Yukinami and I emerged from our cover and dashed over to the convoy. We were able to reach it before the vectors and went to stand between them and the convoy. Stop now! We won't let you harm the guards!
You shall not pass!
Our sudden arrival clearly startled the vectors. They balked, surprised. Now we just had to keep them distracted. Kinda like how Moravia threw those stones at the blooms. I think I practiced the move enough times on our journey here. If I'm careful, I should be able to use my power to stop them without hurting them. We now had the vectors' full attention, but they were too surprised to attack.
They've completely forgotten about the convoy. Now they're only interested in us.
Our plan worked perfectly. Let's round these fellas up and send the convoy on its way. Yukinami, take charge of the vectors for a second. Oh, but try not to hurt them, okay?
Will do.
I dashed over to speak to the guards, so the convoy is like people. It's like, they don't have vehicles? Feels like you should have vehicles. You've probably guessed by now, but we're here to protect the convoy.
Yes, we heard about you.
The guard sounded pretty rattled over the vector's unwelcome visit, so I tried to keep my voice as calm and soothing as possible. We'll take the vectors from here. You should be able to slip away without a problem.
Right, thanks for the help.
Well then, goodbye and good luck.
Wait.
Just as I turned to go, one of them called me back.
Thanks a lot. We really appreciate what both of you did for us here.
The convoy continued on its way. The vectors made no attempt to follow it. They were only interested in us now. I looked at Yukinami. He was elated, but his eyes were filled with tears. Aww, it was a cute little CG.
They thanked us.
Yeah, they sure did. Yukinami and I exchanged big grins.
No humans ever thanked me before.
Look forward to hearing it a lot from now on. He looks kind of adorable in this because he looks like he's blushing.
Really?
The joy that lit up Yukinami's eyes made me feel confident that I'd taken the right path. I wanted to say as much to Yukinami, but all I could think to do was smile. Really, from this day on, you're gonna have a life full of smiles where everyone appreciates you.
And you'll be at my side?
Of course. Together our future's gonna be great. I just know it. I gently took Yukinami's hand in mine. Yukinami looked at his hand, surprised. Then he squeezed mine in his.
I love you, Spacey.
And I you, Yukinami. The warmth of Yukinami's hand in mine was like a promise for a happy future together. Aww. Well, that's sweet. I was like, okay, we're gonna go. And like, I just kind of like how they just kind of like wrapped it up like that. Aww. I mean, he's not my type, don't get me wrong. And then like when she's like talking constantly and like, he's like a childish child, like, but they wrapped it up nicely and they didn't harp on it too long. And like, they made it like, there we go. Ugh, like Ibuki's pretty. Like, Hyuga's not too bad looking. That's a really bad sprite for Rio. like, alright. Oh, is this the one that... Oh, this is the game where... only that sad one has 2. Okay. But, like, this is the game where the A button acts like the back button, and you know how much I hate that. I always forget when I go back and forth between games. I'm like, which game are we playing that does this? But, like, I know this is where she was, like, kind of afraid of him, but, like, it's still a cute CG. No, but I mean, his route overall wasn't bad. I mean, again, he's not my favorite character, but, like, I can appreciate it. We had some fun. He had some adorable sprites. Like, this one's cute. They both look a little goofy, but it's cute. Like this one, like, he's all set. His leg seriously looks so broken the way it's, like, bent behind him like that. Oh my god. It looks so uncomfortable and painful. And then he's all happy. Oh my god. This one is cute, though. Alright. Yeah, so, not bad. We will do his other endings, and then we'll do all the little, like, side story things. His side stories, and then the ones that popped up. The little investigation report things in the next part. So, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.